The barracks, we'd have to like make our beds using very specific rules. Hospital corners, and the bed sheets had to be as tight as hell. Yet some sergeants, you'd have to bounce a quarter off the bed sheet. You'd have to bounce.
That sounds like something out of a freaking movie. They actually
do that. Yeah, it's crazy. Hey, buddy. Little doggo. But if, like, say one instance, we had a guy that just messed up one corner on his bed. His boots were perfect. He had everything organized as it was supposed to be. His uniform was beautiful. Like, it was just perfect. But he had one corner messed up on his bed. The warrant officer came in. He ripped the sheets off his bed. Just tore the bed all apart. And he screamed in his face, like, you... And,
why?
Messed up. Why? Because it teaches you to pay attention to detail. Every single detail. And it's extreme.
That's extreme. Like, that's traumatizing.
Yeah.
Like, you're expecting perfection.
Yep.
But is that realistic?
In some aspects, no. I don't think.
Why?
I should rephrase that. They're not expecting perfection. They're expecting an extreme self-respect. They're expecting you to not just respect their property, but also yourself as an individual. And they don't tell you that directly. But on a deepest level, it's like an extreme version of self-respect.
So they traumatize you as a form of love.
Tough love.
Tough love.
Tough love. That's like...
Tough love. That's
pure
the military, eh?
Yeah.
What is this gourmet spread that we have before me?
Sure, we have. This is a military MRE, meal ready to eat. It's a civilian version. Meaning I can buy it.
Without having to conscript your soul into the army.
Exactly. So what do we got here? We got chicken something. There's chicken in this.
Supposedly, allegedly.
Yes.
May contain at least 30% chicken.
There is unsalted chickpeas.
Gourmet.
Gourmet, yes.
But no salt though. Very white.
Yes, very.
Very.
very meta, very vanilla.
Yes, very vanilla.
Lemon
lime flavored beverage base powder.
Yes. And then we just got straight up pears.
Pears. Like, literally this kit was made by like a white person.
Yep. And then we got jalapeno spread.
Oh wow, fancy.
Which I won't eat because I'm sensitive to fucking spicy food.
Yeah, you're exactly the kind of white person that this meal was made for.
Yeah, exactly.
But for the spicy kind of white person who...
The white conscripted white guy. Young guy that's like, just needs pears.
And can't handle his spicy food.
Open heater bag and remove all contents. Open heating pad and place inside heater bag. Insert food pouch. I need water.
We have plenty of water.
Okay. Good. Yeah, you just fill it with water to that line.
What? You gotta tell me what line, because I can't see.
Here, I got it. You just keep going. All right. More.
Oh, I see. Okay.
And that's good. Put her inside.
And that heats?
Put it in. Put your food pouch in.
What?
Yep.
What?
Seal.
What is this magic? If we were in the 1800s, they'd burn you at the stake for being a witch. What are we expecting? Is it going to explode? What? What? Oh my What? What?
Crazy, eh?
It's steaming?
Yeah. It's a chemical reaction.
They would literally burn you at the stake.
Oh, yeah.
Witchcraft.
Witches would kill you.
Wait, so did you like crack the pouch?
Yeah, it's in here, you open it, and it starts oxidizing. It reacts with the air, and it'll react with the water, and then chemically, like, there's a chemical reaction, and it's just like
Some kind of chemical reaction. Damn.
some sort of fucking chemical shit.
Oh,
That's living another day.
yes, this is survival. The beautiful sight of baby vomit. I bet it is delicious sugar.
God, just the smell of it just like brings me right back to that.
Brings you back where? Paint the picture.
Brings me back to CFB Gagetown. 20 kilometers out in the middle of the fucking woods in the middle of nowhere with my platoon, sitting around, sitting in a circle, cleaning our gear, just like waiting for field orders to go to the next exercise, and then just enjoying the beauty of this.
And why were you out there?
We were doing, well, this is summer camp. We did a field exercise. We were doing a basic expedition course. So it's basically like we learn how to go on an expedition into the woods and like learn a bunch of like field skills and shit. It's pretty cool.
This was back in Nova Scotia.
New Brunswick.
New Brunswick. Interesting.
Gagetown. It's pretty cool. It was fun.
Yeah.
It was really fun. We were only like teenagers at the time. It was yeah, it's tough though.
What was tough?
Just the training. I mean, like, cadets is basically like the military for teenagers. And you do the same thing as a military guy would. An army. It was army cadets. We would go on these massive field training, FDX field training exercises in full combat gear with big, huge fucking rucksacks, hike like kilometers out into the woods. This is the expedition course. And we would train on bikes, we would train on canoes. We'd learn how to like set up camp and fucking just everything. All a bunch of skills. It was really cool.
That does sound really cool.
Really cool. And it was free.
It what?
It was free. Yeah, you didn't have to pay for it. It was like summer camp, but way more badass.
Yeah.
And way tougher. Like, you were disciplined. Like, you had a barracks to sleep in, like traditional army guy would, or military. And they like inspect your barracks, and you'd have to go to parade, and oh yeah, it was all the whole shebang.
For what purpose? What ultimate purpose? What were they trying to get out of you? You know, they're providing this free service. What do they get out of it?
The cadets was basically, their goal was to raise a stronger citizen, I think. But I think they're also preparing cadets for the real military. So they're assimilating you into the military, but in a good way. But you know what they said? They're like, you don't have to go in the military if you don't want to. Like,
Good.
You don't ever have to. Like, we had that talk. They're like, don't ever feel the need to go in the military. We just want to give you these skills to be a better human. I don't know. To learn a respect for it. You know, like respect for the military and
Respect for yourself.
Respect for yourself, discipline for yourself. Yeah. I have since lost a lot of that discipline.
Sounds like you gotta get your ass back into cadets.
Exactly. We're doing the real thing.
So how did that experience impact you? Like, do you think that there was a link between what you did then and where you are now?
Yeah, totally. I think the number one skill, I mean, it's different for everyone, but the number one skill that's instilled in me was to go for it. like to do what you want to do. Like have that courage to fucking gear.
And do it right, eh?
Yeah, and do it right. And like I said, I've since lost most of that discipline, but I still have that
drive,
that ambition to do things.
That's
why I'm out here. So yeah, I'm really thankful for that.
Yeah.
You know, there was times in you know, military when you start to question your purpose and you're like, why am I here? I'm just doing drill every day, all day. I'm just doing like marching and but then you realize like, holy fuck, these guys have taught me a lot.
Yeah.
And I'm serving my country, right?
Yeah, I guess it's in those moments where you're so zoomed in, you have to zoom the fuck out.
Yeah.
It's like if you're going to do something, like you have to understand like what's the meaning, why.
But personally, I'm not going to take any of the... I don't see myself... Cadets is cadets. A real member of service, regular force or officer, whatever. If you're, you know, in the forces, it's a lot different than cadets. It's way more hardcore.
And it's their fucking life, eh?
And I can't take the experience. Cadets was only a little tiny bit of an experience of the real military. The real military, the real thing's a lot harder. Like, just talk to a vet.
But why? What's even the purpose of the military? What are they doing?
A lot of people, I find it's like two-way street. Like, some people really respect the military and really look up on the military, and some people just hate it. And they say, oh, why is it? That doesn't make any sense. You're just giving your life away. You know, you're giving your freedoms away. And that's true. You're giving a lot of your freedom away. You're giving a lot of your life, essentially. You're trading your youth and your freedom and
your energy.
And your energy for the service of your country, right? And whatever your trade is, right? But I think the purpose of the military, people say, oh, it's to fight wars. Well, yeah, we defend our country if necessary. But especially Canadian military, I don't think that's our core value, is to fight. It's to serve our people, you know, and serve the world. And you see our domestic operations deployed, you know, rescue operations, search and rescue units. You got, you know, even infantry helping during natural disaster relief and anything the country might need. We're there, the military will step in to help, right? And defense, yes, that's our main priority, but there's so much more. And the culture in the military is very tight-knit, very strong. And if you're ever part of a military family, you can recognize that strength. And just, it brings a whole new set of values to yourself and to your family. It gives you a strong respect for others and, like, you know, physical strength, physical tenacity, but also ambition too. And it's just, oh yeah, and the connections you make in the military, like the buddies you'll meet, even something as a cadet, it's like, you'll have that forever, and you'll always carry that, right? So it's...
Wow, you're making it sound like a very purposeful...
It is. And I just get kind of pissed off when people say, like, there's no point to the military and you're just wasting your life, because you're not. It's much, much more than that. You know, and if you don't, no one has to join the military, but at least have an awareness of what those men and women do every day. And why. And why they do it. Right? Like, people die in the military, they go through a lot of hard shit. And that's in sacrifice for the service of their people. You know? So it's a lot of respect and honor and courage and strength. It's what the military embodies. Wow. Thank you so much for sharing that with me. No problem. No, like, genuinely, I was one of those people who, like, didn't really understand the military. And I was like, what the fuck? Like, I don't know, I just see, like,
the negative aspects of going to war, and I think it's fueled by greed, and you have to admit, like, there's obviously a portion of that as well, but like I guess fundamentally it's like, why was it originally made for, right? For us to be able to continue being.
See, the military, I mean, I wouldn't really know the specific answer to that. There probably is a specific answer why it was created. I mean, military is just a rise for the defense of the people and the service of the people, right?
But what are we defending?
Well, I mean, in terms of a defense aspect, we're defending our people and our land. Our people and our land, right? Within the state, Canada, or if you're American military, America, right? Or whatever country you're in. You're defending your people and your state and your land. But you're also serving your people and your state and your land. And you're serving, with the Canadian military, you're serving, like, you'll see, we'll go on international peacekeeping missions for peacekeeping. We'll go on international service missions. We'll go on missions that involve search and rescue, disaster relief, like I was saying earlier. So there's a lot to it. There's a nice doggo over there. Yeah, so there's a lot to it.
Do you think, I mean, obviously you don't have much intimate knowledge, but how would you say that, like, do you think they're serving in the right ways?
No, like
the military.
Forces?
Or no, just the military in general. It's like, whatever they're, like, I'm still trying to understand, like, just in terms of service and the quality of service and what they are serving.
Right.
Do you think that their focus is right?
Yeah, I mean, I think they have their core values are on track, right? The purpose is to serve the people. But of course, with any military, you can get sidetracked, and the military is a very traditional system.
Yeah.
And a very bureaucratic system. So it's it can be seen as the negative part. It can be both positive and negative, because
that's how shit gets done, right?
Exactly. So I mean, in one way, it can be seen positive because you're you got this order, you're going.
Yeah, I mean, you gotta admire the military. It's like when they set their focus on something, they'll fucking do it, eh?
Oh. And when you're fucking, say, to speak on behalf of the search and rescue units out there, like, for instance, search and rescue unit in Comox, here in Vancouver Island, those guys, those SARTECs, those pilots, those technicians, everyone involved in those search and operation team is always on their A game. They're extremely physically fit, and they do this to rescue people, and they'll go on these incredibly dangerous operations to rescue people. And like, say imagine being trapped at sea on a little fishing boat. You're running out of supplies, and your vessel got struck by a small tsunami caused by an earthquake. You're fucked. And then, like, you put out a distress call, and like 3 hours later, a chopper comes down, and the SARTEC comes down and saves your whole fucking crew and ass. That's the embodiment of part of the military, and to serve and to protect and to.
Hell yeah!
It's fucking great, and that's just SAR. That's just search and rescue. That's one realm of the military. Then there's like the infantry, the soldiers on the ground, right? And then there's like all the technicians that work on our vehicles and our aircraft and our ships. And then there's the officers, which are leading these people, you know? It's crazy.
Wow.
It's nuts. And then you even have like people would say more menial, but they're not menial. They're actually very important jobs, like supply technicians, people that are bringing in the supplies, doing the orders, keeping the logistics running. It's like this massive system. It's crazy.
Wow. It from what you're saying to me, how I'm taking it is like the military is just like basically just the realization of human capacity.
Yes. To me, it's like you're going the next level. You are challenging yourself on all fronts. You are going in. You're fucking getting her. And you are like becoming physically immaculate. You're becoming mentally immaculate. And I mean, spirituality is a bit touching the military. But to some people, you're becoming spiritually there. Very much aware too. You have to be aware. You have to be sharp. So it's a lot of qualities, you know.
Okay, so it's not like you're training these drones that kind of just. I mean, in a way, it is. It's like you have to follow what your commanders say, right? You can't really question the operation.
I think see, and it's different if you've never experienced anything like that. When you're in the yeah, I can see how people think like, oh, you're just a drone, you're just a mindless, your mind's wiped, you're brainwashed, and you're told to do orders, and that's all you're doing your whole life. No. When you get put in that environment, what they do in basic training, or basic military qualification as they call it in Canadian military, and every other basic training, general training program, is they'll strip down your personality. They'll strip it down, right? It seems negative at first, but just hold on.
Okay.
Just hold on. They'll strip it down to your absolute core, which sounds brutal, and it is brutal. And then they'll build you up. And they'll build you back up. And they'll build you back up to be a stronger, more resilient, more capable human being. And it doesn't mean your personality's gone. It just means you've
burned all the bullshit.
You burned all the bullshit, and because the military doesn't take that shit, man.
No.
Fuck you. If you, little story for my cadets.
Yes.
In the barracks, which is like basically a bedroom complex, or wherever the fucking barracks is, whatever it is, in a given situation. The barracks, we'd have to like make our beds using very specific rules. Hospital corners, and the bed sheets had to be as tight as hell. Yet some sergeants, you'd have to bounce a quarter off the bed sheet. You'd have to bounce.
That sounds like something out of a freaking movie. They actually
do that. Yeah, it's crazy. Hey, buddy. Little doggo. But if, like, say one instance, we had a guy that just messed up one corner on his bed. His boots were perfect. He had everything organized as it was supposed to be. His uniform was beautiful. Like, it was just perfect. But he had one corner messed up on his bed. The warrant officer came in. He ripped the sheets off his bed. Just tore the bed all apart. And he screamed in his face, like, you... And,
why?
Messed up... Why? Because it teaches you to pay attention to detail. Every single detail. And it's extreme.
That's extreme. Like, that's traumatizing. Yeah. Like, you're expecting perfection.
Yep.
But is that realistic?
In some aspects, no. I don't think. Hey, buddy. How you doing? Just taking a doggo break.
Perfection is not... Like, how realistic is it? Like, why?
I should rephrase that. They're not expecting perfection. They're expecting an extreme self-respect. They're expecting you to not just respect their property, but also yourself as an individual. And they don't tell you that directly. But on the deepest level, it's like an extreme version of self-respect.
So they traumatize you as a form of love.
Tough love.
Tough love.
Tough love. That's like...
Tough love. That's the military, eh?
Yeah.
Because they need you to be tough.
Mm-hmm. You need to be resilient in the military. If you're not resilient, you won't make it. But if you're not resilient, they may teach you resilience.
Yeah, it's not like they're like just trying to crush you.
No, they're trying to build you up. And when you reach that level, when you're built up to that amount of discipline and self-respect, then you also respect the others around you. And you build like a super strong bond with your fellow soldiers. And like, I just fucking couldn't imagine like being in a war in like the Second World War or something, like storming the beaches of Normandy, where you see all these guys that you've trained for the past however many years with and became your brothers, literally, only to be like just shot. Like, I just couldn't imagine that. That's extreme. But
wow, thank you for that perspective, though, because like that just kind of answered my next question, which was like, why is it that like these people come out of the military and they're so broken?
Right. It's PTSD, and it's the mental damage caused usually by war, by conflict, not by service. Most military members, some members that are, dare I say, not as strong as others, get PTSD just from training.
Yeah, I mean, I think I also did some research and found out it's like the people who have PTSD, it's not everyone who has PTSD, it's those who perceive a traumatic experience in a way that they think that they're helpless to it.
Right.
And when you feel helpless, that's where the PTSD kicks in.
Right.
Because there could be other people who like go through the same level of suffering, but if they find a way to feel empowered and get through it, they're not persistently haunted by those demons.
No. And it's also to do with your past too. Like when you go into basic or any training, it's like your past plays a big role, but it also reshapes you. So, like, say you had a traumatic past and a traumatic family. If you're resilient to that trauma, the military will be empowering for you. Because yes, they're giving you the real hard go, but you're learning so much. At the end of the day, it's tough as shit. It's fucking hard. But you have support of your fellow soldiers. You have the support of your officers. There is like mental health counseling in the military. Like if you need to go in, like they're not completely like oblivious to your mental state.
You're still a human, right? They respect that.
It's not like
you're not a drone.
No, they don't dehumanize you. I mean, some militaries in the world do. I will say some militaries do treat you very horribly.
Like you're just a fucking soldier.
Another guy on a piece of paper.
Yeah.
And
another person operating a gun.
Our military doesn't do that.
Good.
So, I mean, I guess there'd probably be some units or some officers, some sergeants that are assholes, just like any other place.
Absolute power corrupts absolutely.
Yeah. But I think in the essence of it, it's more to do with respect and discipline. Discipline is like the number one thing in the military that you have to have, and it's like that discipline comes from building your self-respect. So, and then like when I went into cadets, I was pretty lazy. I was only like 12. I was 12 when I joined, because cadets is just. But even in the regular forces, people go in the military, completely different people, undisciplined, like no self-respect, no confidence, and they'll come out on the other side a completely changed individual with an amazing amount of self-respect, an amazing amount of confidence, and a confidence that doesn't come from external things, It doesn't come from like validation.
What they're wearing or
it's a confidence,
what they have.
Yeah. It's a confidence that comes from their core values, because the military built that up within them. So that's what I love about it, man. Like, it gives you this deep confidence and just self-respect that I respect a lot. So, I mean, it can destroy you.
Yeah.
It can, if you let it. But you just don't let it. You just keep having that tenacity to carry on and keep going.
It's just about the next moment, eh? Can you survive the next 30 seconds?
Like, I wish I could speak, but I can't. Some of the experiences of the regular force members, like, especially, the boots on the ground, like the infantry, and they go through hell. They go through absolute hell. Like, my Uncle Kenny, for example, he spent, I believe it was 3 years in the Canadian infantry. And some of the stories he told me, they just go on and on and on, and they get you to their breaking point, and then they keep going.
What?
So they carry you to your breaking point, they make you hike through fucking horrible, treacherous conditions with hundreds of pounds, like dozens of pounds of gear on, with like heavy machine guns and fucking, and they make you hike and they make you go through the most treacherous, horrible conditions in mud and rain and sleet and hail and snow, and then you'll break down and you'll collapse, and then they'll be like, we're keeping on going. And if you get up and keep going, that's you. And that's the tenacity they teach you and show you. And a lot of people don't make it. But
what separates those that make it from those that don't? If you can distill that down.
Sometimes it's just pure willpower. It's just pure resilience. Just the
what does that mean?
Drive. The pure drive to move forward and not give up. Like, the guys that'll give up, do you think they'd be a good soldier in the end if they were going to give up halfway through the battle? No. The guys that keep moving forward and will fight to their last breath, that's the ones you want in the military. So not trying to shit on anyone, but your true will is tested. You're tested. There's thinking you know something. There's thinking you can do something. There's thinking you can be the best. There's thinking you can pull something off, and then there's actually going like feet first into hell and doing it. And it's like I personally can't speak on that kind of level because I haven't been there. Cadets has only given me a tiny little taste of what the military is. But some people I've talked to have been there and they've been through it, and it's like, Jesus, man, like you've been through a lot. Fuck. And yeah, so
willpower,
tenacity, ambition, whatever you want to call it.
And fundamentally, that's just the ability to move.
Your mental resilience and your spiritual resilience can overpower your physical limits. So when you reach the point, a lot of people call it the wall. Like marathon runners, like extreme athletes, they reach a point where they're absolutely fucking exhausted and gone, and they just can't go anymore. But if they have that mental resilience and spiritual resilience and that willpower, they're able to actually override their physical body and keep going, and their body will keep going. It's
what?
Yeah, and I've witnessed it firsthand. Like people not giving up. Like I had this one guy in my platoon just torn apart. Like we did it was a 20K march in 28 degree weather in the middle of summer in the middle of New Brunswick, extremely hot, wearing full combat leather boots and a large like 50-60 pound ruck. and we had to stop for water all the time. But this guy he was beginning to collapse, and I was like, Jesus, man, like, we were picking him up. Sergeants were yelling at him. Come on!
No compassion.
No, well,
tough love.
Tough love.
Tough love.
It's not, yeah.
I mean, the compassion is picking him up.
Yeah. And if you complain, you're doing push-ups. Don't complain.
Don't complain. Only be grateful.
And then he collapsed, and he didn't move, and he's like, I can't do this anymore. And a few of us stopped, and we're like, come on, man, like, you got this, and let's go. And he sat there for about 2 minutes, and when one guy stops, the whole platoon stops. Because the way the military treats us is that it's only as strong as its weakest link. I don't know, sometimes they don't stop, sometimes they just keep going.
That's the weakest link, gotta come off.
But in that instance, the sergeant halted the platoon. He's like, all right, everyone stop. This guy was on the ground. And he drank some water, and he's like, fuck this. Like, I just heard him. He's like, fuck this, I gotta fucking keep going. And he got up, and he was like, ugh, and it was like so empowering. Like, you could see his willpower. And he stood up, and he like got his ruck on. He's like, fuck, let's go. Sweat's just fucking pouring down his face. And he's like, let's go. And we're like, yeah. And everyone was like, go, let's go. I forget his name. I really wasn't that close with him, but
a name doesn't matter. No. You remember him. You remember his essence and his energy.
I remember his face and like just that moment of willpower, and he kept going, and we made it. We all made it to the campsite, and he, once he got there, he's just like, bam, claps, and we had a meal. And yeah, so it's possible. Like, they push you and they push you and they push you, but you get so much out of it. And like, it's incredible what it does for you. And some people don't take it positively. Some people say, oh, it's not worth it. Oh, they don't do anything for you. Oh, and some people say, oh, it's easy. Well, yeah, okay. Try it.
Yeah.
Try it. And, certain trades are easier than others. Like, physically, if you're to be like, I don't know, if you're to be like a tech officer, it wouldn't be as physically demanding as infantry. Mm-hmm. But then you got your whole set of mental challenges that go with like a systems operator or something. And like with whatever your trade is in the military, you have to be very responsible. Like my Uncle Kenny, he was I think he was a corporal in the Air Force for 13 years, or 10 years. He spent, I believe it was 10 years in the Air Force and 3 years in the infantry. And he was AV tech, or aviation systems technician. And they're responsible, AV techs are responsible for fixing systems on a multi-million-dollar aircraft that's flying supplies and troops across the country, across the world. So you imagine having that responsibility in your hands? Having that power to literally, like, if I don't put this bolt on correctly, or if I mess up this wiring, the plane may not, there's no stopping in the sky. There's no pulling over to a garage. So, like, it's incredible.
I can see in that case, like, what you were saying about discipline and respect.
That's what that is.
It's like, in the moment, you might be a little lazy, you don't want to do the task, or, you can, like, probably half-ass it, but there's real consequences to not giving it your all.
So, I guess that brings me back around to the point of the reason why they discipline you so hard, the reason why they push you so hard, and the reason why they almost make you, like, you seem like you're a drone, but you're not, is just so that you understand your responsibility in that moment. If you're a pilot, you're flying. If you have 150 troops on board in the back, you're responsible for their life. And you're responsible for flying that aircraft. And, like, it's that responsibility that is reinforced by the discipline and respect that you earn in training. And then it goes from there.
That sounds really empowering.
Yeah, it is.
I would love to go back to the idea of, like, discipline, because I'm definitely someone who's very undisciplined. So what can we take out from the military and share with others? Like, how do you apply those aspects of discipline? Like, what can you do on a day-to-day to cultivate more discipline, military style?
Yeah. Personally, I'll be honest, I've lost, like I said, I've lost most of my cadet discipline. Usually it doesn't really leave you, but it's been like 5 or 6 years since I've done it.
Excuses.
I know, it's excuses. And it is. And part of that's from my laziness. Part of that's from laziness, but it's important to recognize that.
Yeah.
As long as you recognize those mistakes and those flaws or whatever,
yeah,
then you can move forward.
Yeah, because you're, again, what does the military do? They strip you of the bullshit.
Exactly.
And then they build you up.
Exactly. So, and that's coming back now, actually, now that you remind me of that. Sometimes you have to be reminded, like...
Yeah, we forget.
You forget that past all the bullshit, you only got what you got, and that's including your integrity, right? Like, so yeah, I guess taking from the military lifestyle, I would say that you can improve yourself every day, no matter what. And you don't have to do a military level of discipline. Mm-hmm. You don't have to do that. That is tough. It's tough. Mm-hmm. You don't, like, the everyday person can't really follow a military...
Isn't that just another routine. Excuse?
It might be, but a lot of people are not ready for that. It has to be trained. It has to be, you have to prepare for that. But you could, by all means, jump in, fucking go full force.
But right? For those who do want to start on that journey, what is this discipline that they can bring into their life? If they're like someone who struggles with directing their energy and honing it.
Right. So a method I use is to improve on something every day. Improve a little bit on something every day. So and it can be the most small, minute thing. No one's expecting you to be perfect. But if you can be the best you can make yourself, and best meaning whatever the best is to you. Like, don't base your values off of other people's expectations. Base them off of what you want to be. Right? So say you really want to be an athlete, and you really want to run a marathon, and that's your goal, just to run a marathon. We can start every day by going for a short run. Every day. Or start off twice a week, run. Then the next week, 3 times a week. And then the next week, build it up, go for a run. Take a course in nutrition to improve your body. Or if you don't have the money for that, just eat healthier. And you can do a little bit here and there and build it up. And part of that discipline is keeping it.
Yeah, because that's what I'm asking. Like, how do you keep it? Because in the moment you might be motivated. Right. You want to do all this, and then when it's time to get your boots on the ground and start doing, how do you keep yourself accountable? Yeah. So
what I do in that scenario is I say, if you start going back to old habits, which I'm guilty of, everyone is. You stop yourself. Train your brain to stop yourself. Stop.
Don't just go through the motions. You're the consciousness.
Say for me, I'm really, Say for me, shitty food, that's my addiction, which is fine once in a while, but stop yourself and say, remember my purpose. Remember my goal. What am I doing now? I am going back. Yeah. I'm taking steps back. I'm not going forward. Yeah. And just say, do you want this or do you not? And if you want it, you have to go for it. If you want to become a marathon runner, you have to train. You have to have your body in good shape for running. You have to have the right running style. Like, I don't know too much about marathon.
But fundamentally, that's just
right.
Self-respect.
Self-respect. And that's being able to stop yourself when you go take steps back and saying, no, I'm not doing this. I'm going forward. And that's a quality in itself.
The reflection of asking, like, is what I'm about to do moving me forward? Even just not to that next destination, but a little bit closer to where I want to be.
Right.
Or are you going backwards? Are you going to where you don't really want to?
Right.
But
and there's different, like, I think there's different levels of that. Like, there's actually, like, say if you want to be a marathon runner, there's like, oh, well, I think I'm just going to spend the whole week not exercising at all, just fucking eating shit food, sitting on my couch. But at least if you're going for a run every day, or every second day, or every third day, that's getting you somewhere. You're taking steps. And for some people, it might take a long, long time to get all those steps in place. But the more you can improve on every day, the more you can go forward.
Yeah. Like, now I'm like starting to understand the like whole Nike symbol. Just do it.
Do it.
Just do it. No, like, literally. It's like, because the more you do, the more you feel fucking motivated to do more.
Exactly. Like, do you ever work out?
And it's a positive feedback loop.
Like, yeah. And just keep it going. Because what do they say about habits? It takes 21 days to develop a habit or something like that.
Yeah.
And that goes either way, positive or negative.
Yeah.
But once you're in that habit, it's very hard to get out of. So if you wake up at 6 o'clock every morning, it's going to be hard as shit for the first 3 weeks or so. It's going to be like, oh. If you're ever used to getting up at noon and you get up at 6, you're like, Dad.
Bro, I'm feeling personally attacked right now because that's just me.
I'm the same way. Don't worry about it. And then the first week gets a little easier. Then you start going to bed earlier because you realize, oh, I can't go to bed at 3 a.m.
No, you love yourself enough that you don't want to suffer like that again.
Right. So then you keep going, and then you develop a habit, and then it starts feeling good because you're getting up early and you have more time in the day. And you have more time to do things, and you're just, wow, this is great. And then you get motivation, and it keeps going up and up. And then it probably reach plateau where you're like, oh, I'm content where I am. And then that's where you build more. So,
it doesn't stop, because the moment you stop,
keep going.
The moment you stop is the moment that you're falling back, actually.
Yeah, that's true.
Because this world continues to move forward.
It's very in today's world, you have to be extremely adaptive, like, in every aspect, to really succeed.
What are we adapting to?
Change.
Yeah.
Just constant change. Like, there's constant, like, say, cell phones. Do you know how much information we're taking in every day on these fucking things? It's incredible. Our brain's processing all this fucking information, and we constantly have to adapt to that. And then, like, there's like new computers every year, and there's like not even tech, just the
fucking world itself.
Yeah, like, the modern world's so stressful. Like, it's just like go constantly, and you're like constantly busy, constantly doing things, and you don't have enough time to actually like sit back and remember what the fuck's going on. Like, sit back and say, oh, nothing really matters.
Well, yeah, things matter, but not the things that we think do.
They matter, but they don't. And that's another discussion. It's like, there's so many different, like, perspectives you can have on life. And that discipline, that military style of life, that, like, go-getter style is one personality. That's one aspect. You can have that. And then there's the people that are very opposite of that. People that don't give a shit. But that still might be a little bit happy. I don't know. Personally, I do like the idea of improvement. Self-improvement. It's a great thing.
It requires a lot of self-responsibility.
Yeah. Accountability, responsibility. I think a lot of the time nowadays, especially with young people our age and even younger, like teenagers, have a very hard time admitting their mistakes and being accountable.
And admitting that they're not being everything that they could be.
Yeah,
right?
and admitting like Jesus, like that happened with my, not to get too far into relationships, but that happened with me, and I realized I made some mistakes in that relationship. There's a fucking creature back there. And I was like, well, geez. And then I almost wrote them on paper, and I was like, yeah, I fucked up these things. But it's very important to realize that, because I could have went on and said, oh, fuck you,
But think about how much you've learned.
And not learned of anything and just kept being my old self. Or I could have self-reflected like I did and like, oh, wow, I actually learned from that.
Yeah.
And then you develop yourself.
And you're moving forward as a better, more capable human being.
Exactly, and that's the whole point, like, with anything in life, whether it's your athletics, whether it's diet, whether it's relationships, whether it's your career, if you are able to have some integrity, if you're able to have some self-respect and some discipline to realize I'm not perfect, kind of let go of your ego a little bit and just say, I can learn. And then move forward and not make that mistake again.
Because we do fundamentally want to be better, to learn more.
Yeah.
And I guess from what you're saying, like if you can distill down what does integrity, what does discipline, what does self-respect mean, fundamentally it's just love. It's love, right? Do you love yourself?
Yeah, that's true.
How do you love yourself? How do you express love to yourself? Not enough people, I think, ask themselves that with how they're acting. It's like, is what I'm acting out of love or is it out of fear?
That's a good one. That's a good one.
But if you're in the military, it's tough love.
Oh yeah.
Thank you for sharing your perspective.
No problem.